Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Adult Chair on rashpixel.fm. I'm Pete Wright, and I am here this Valentine's season with Michelle Chalfant. Hello, Michelle.
Hello, Pete. Happy Valentine's season.
Valentine's season. That's what it is now, right?
The month of love.
There's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure on the month of love.
It is.
Mess anything up. I'm very excited about our conversation today. We're going to be talking about just that, intimacy and connection, and we have a fabulous guest who's going to join us to share her insights and teachings. First, before we dig in, head over to theadultchair.com. You can learn more about us and the show. You can subscribe for free by signing up for our mailing list, and find us anywhere the finest podcasts are served. You can join the conversation on Facebook or Twitter. We would love to hear from you, and don't forget, if you're interested in joining the Adult Chair private group on Facebook, this place to share and learn from others exploring in their own journey in the Adult Chair, you can request to join from michellchalfant.com. It's a terrific experience, and we would love to see you there. How's it going, Michelle?
Excellent. It's really growing nice and steady. And the more people hear about it, they're joining. And we're having a lot of fun. And we've had some really nice, vulnerable moments. And it's really going well. It's going very well. I love so
much about it. It is such an international group. We've got people from all over the world who have joined this group.
Yeah.
And that is the wonders of this quiet corner of Facebook.
It's true, though. Yeah, you're right about that.
It's just a quiet corner. So anyhow, very excited about that. So michellchalfant.com, you can press the button. It'll take you over to Facebook. You can request to join that private group. Okay, our guest today, Prana Regina Barrett, is author, educator, and Phoenix Rising yoga therapist at Tantra to Love. She and her husband, John, work with couples in their practice to transform relationships through Tantra practices, to deepen intimacy and develop communication skills, and they lead sacred unions and ceremonies and workshops and retreats and programs all over the world. Regina joins us today to talk about intimacy and connection in our relationships through the lens of Tantra in this season of love. Gina, welcome to the Adult Chair.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. The season of love.
Season of love. I'm so happy you're here. We're going to talk about Tantra, and I just, you're talking to an oaf. I'm an oaf in this stuff. And so when I think of Tantra, I think, I hope there's more to it than just thinking about Sting's sex life. There's got to be more to it than that.
Well, there's definitely more to it than that. And I'm so grateful to Sting for bringing, everybody's attention to it. And, I think a lot of people, they come to Tantra thinking that they're going to have the same sex life that Sting had, which was, these marathon, many hour-long sex sessions with his beautiful yogini wife. And, we're happy to share that with people, and we actually do share how to do that. We can do that in a couple of sessions with people, but we like to work with people over a weekend so they can really get away and immerse themselves in the practice. But it's actually a solo practice. Initially, it came out of yoga traditions, and we use movement, breath, sound, meditation, and body work to gently open energy centers throughout the body. Some people know those. They're called chakras. Mm-hmm. And, when these energy centers expand, individuals return to who they really came in as a fetus before they experienced any stress or trauma in their life. And in, coming into this more expanded sense of who you really are, they begin to live their true purpose or their true destiny, and ultimately are a lot happier because they do that. And that's really what Tantra is, but this expansion of the energy body and coming into your true self and being happy really increases sensation in the body. It makes you really attractive because you're happy and you're doing what you want to be doing in your life. And it actually, a nice side effect is it can enhance your sexual connection and sexual experience, with some training. It just doesn't happen like that. I did this Tantra yoga for years, and I started to feel this expansion and energy move. And then I went to some teachers that were willing to teach, sacred sexuality. And so, we share both with couples, but, most people are coming to us for, to add to their sex life, people who have been in a relationship for a while, or people who are working a lot, like the 2-income households that really feel like they're not feeling intimacy or a sacred connection anymore. They're not feeling the way they felt when they first met. So they've heard that Tantra might help. And, people come to us, being referred to from couples counselors, from therapists, from fertility counselors. So, a lot of the people in the, Western medical profession realize that this is a good modality for couples and for individuals.
So what would you say happens? So we meet someone, we are attracted to them, we have great sex typically, unless there are issues, but typically, let's just say we have this great sex for a while. And then I know, at least in my friend circle, and I hear it from clients too, that, after a while, it's like sex goes from something that's fun, can be wild, exciting, to, oh, it's Saturday and I haven't had sex in a week. I better have sex because I'm going to get in trouble if I don't. He's going to be mad at me. And, they're going to be in sorry, Pete, this is true. They're going to be in a bad mood. They're going to be in a bad mood if you don't have sex, So what happens? And you can, and I love what you said about the chakras, but in energy terms or just in emotional terms, like what is your philosophy on that, or your theory on what happens to us after a while? I mean, life happens. I get it. Some of us have kids or households and mortgages, and I'm too stressed, but what happens?
Well, I think what initially happens is what some people call new relationship energy. And I think that some people get addicted to that, and they think that that's all that relationship is. And, some people spend most of their adult life relationship hopping to be able to have that new relationship energy.
Oh, you can kind of get addicted to that, right?
Oh, yeah. And then after a while, they start to be, especially as people get older, they start to realize that can be a little bit empty. It's sexual, it's fun, but can they really rely on this person? What is there more, in terms of, when the chips are down, when one of those people gets sick, is that other partner going to show up for them? And that's when, the more long-term relationships start to develop, when people are really seeking a deeper connection. And I think what ends up happening is, life gets in the way, kids, paying bills, and people start to create more of a little bit of a business relationship in their, in their partnership or in their marriage. And so, a lot of people come to us for their couples retreat to kind of, freshen things up. To learn something new. Yeah. To reignite the passion, learn something new. And, just by learning Tantra, they're learning something new, but we also, invite our couples after their first class with us. We usually start with a Tantra class, is we invite them to explore, we have a page of 100 different ways to engage sexually. And, to just look at that and to see, okay, which ones of these seem, or make you, spark your curiosity? What seems like something you'd like to try, and we invite the couples actually as individuals to try them themselves and see, how it feels, and then show their partner what they liked on that list and to try some new things, so kind of opening things up. And, a lot of people come to us really just having learned sex from their schoolmates and, from conversations that they've had with their schoolmates in high school, or they learn how to have sex from porn.
That's
this
what I was
really the way.
Yeah.
This is really the way, most people learn how to have sex, and some people don't even talk to their schoolmates or study porn. So, some people are in, even in that situation. So, it's about, really expanding your sexual repertoire, and people are really, a lot of couples are really looking for that sacred spiritual connection as well.
Well, it's much deeper than just the physical act of having sex. Tantra seems like it's taking that connection to another level versus just the physical act of having an orgasm and you're done. It seems like there's much more of a spiritual connection and energetic connection. Is that true?
It is. And also, I really highly recommend, if, you're looking for an easy, fun read, is the Kama Sutra, which is a book that was, written about a bachelor, a bourgeois bachelor on the town, and he went and had connection or dated, and eventually had sex with lots of different high class courtesans. And the book is all about how the two of them prepare themselves for this courtship. And it's, and this is why I think India kind of has this reputation of, being a little better at sex than we are. And that was kind of an old way, and they're very Western now too. And we've had Indian people come to us to learn Tantra, actually. But,
awesome.
It was like, the bachelor on day one would comb his hair, and then day two, oil his hair, and then, day three, shave. And the courtesan, she knew like 7 languages and also how to darn socks. So it was like people just put so much more effort into courtship than we do in the West. And so Tantra, we try to revive. We do when we teach couples Tantra, we revive that. We suggest that you actually take the time to take a shower, to maybe, have fresh sheets, candles and scents around the bedroom, get the television out of the bedroom, any kind of distractions. Like some couples, and I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody by saying this, and I'm just bringing it to your awareness that if you have your office or your television in your bedroom, that's going to pull away from your connection to your partner. Mm-hmm. So we just try to help people to, recognize that, if you just, start to redecorate the bedroom a little bit and take some time for yourself and for your partner before you think about having sex, it can really make a huge difference.
And you don't need to wear your Fitbit during sex. You can let that go. I'm just saying.
Measure your heart rate.
You don't need to measure your heart rate while you're doing it. Just trust me, it's high. So here's the thing that I don't want to take us too far back in the conversation, but the thing that I'm kind of stuck on, that I feel like, and let me assure you, I'm not speaking solely from personal experience, but here we are. I'm in kind of in this middle age frame of life, and my friends all seem to be sharing the same kinds of stories, which is that their sex life is it's good and then it's bad, indicating it's wholly unpredictable at this point. And when it's not great, it's usually associated around the shame that not just the woman feels, but the man too. The shame in not doing it enough, not doing it right, not having a schedule that accommodates it. And so this, what I'm hearing you say is that Tantra, is so much more than just how to have multi-hour Sting-esque orgasms. It is it's about finding that intimacy, and I wonder if we could reflect a little bit about that. Maybe both of you too, and Michelle from this adult chair perspective. Like, how do you shake the shame and be able to approach it sort of authentically and honestly and openly as a couple? I'm very curious about that, Gina. How do you counsel people?
The first thing is that I think couples have to come at this with a mutual intention. Like, what do they both want to experience in their relationship? And, often one of the people wants a little bit more intimacy and connection. The other person sometimes is very happy with the way things are and maybe even wants more of like sex, like you're saying. And so we let couples know what is needed for their health. And actually sex is a good thing for your health, both for men at middle age to prevent prostate. So ejaculation is actually a good thing, even though in Tantra we teach you to circulate that energy and not necessarily ejaculate all the time. So we provide what Harvard Medical suggests, and then we teach you how to, sustain your erection. And for women, for pelvic floor and just to keep things alive in the pelvis, it's actually recommended that women have sex at least twice a week, actually. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, full-on athletic intercourse. We really suggest this intimacy piece. So, engaging in a loving way, connected, supportive, feeling safe to share your most personal thoughts and emotions. And that actually, it means spending time together. I mean, I just talked about, preparing your body and the room for engaging sexually. And that actually, raises libido and raises your desire to try to meet these more physical needs. And, taking the time to, spend time together, to go on a date, to take a walk. I mean, it does. I'm sorry to say, I know it's hard in this day and age to find time,
Mm-hmm.
but it does take time to get to this place of intimacy to, like, for example, a lot of us are 9-to-5 workers. And so if, two people in a partnership are working 9-to-5 and you're pretty wiped in the evening, if you do have some energy in the evenings, to spend some of that together, cultivating the relationship, the intimacy. An example of that, might be to take a dance class together or to take walks together. Often for us, when Renee and I both had full-time separate jobs, we would use Saturday as kind of like the date day, the day where we get to know each other again. And
Mm-hmm.
often I would say that to him, like, I'm not, he would kind of, reach for my, body parts, kind of initiating sex. And I'd be like, I don't even know who you are yet this week, so let's like spend some time talking. And, so this is the kind of thing women need. And
Mm-hmm. I was thinking that. I thought women love that. We want to connect emotionally.
women love that.
Yeah.
And that, men, and it varies, and believe me, in our practice, we have had, you would often think like women would bring men to Tantra, but at least 50% of men are bringing their wives to Tantra. And we find that there are just as many women who want that, like, sex relationship, and just as many men who want the intimacy. However, there was a book written probably in the 90s, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From
Mm-hmm.
Venus, where, the author said that men tend to need the sex in order to feel the intimacy. So kind of knowing that, can we, I think, really ask your partner, regardless of what their, gender is, what they want, from the connection, both, intimately and sexually. So we spend, that's probably one of the first exercises that we share, when we work with couples, is how to, communicate those needs.
I love that breaks so many stereotypes, right? I mean, I think we have so many assumptions when we come to sex and desire as a topic in a couple, in a couple, and that's really gratifying to hear, at least empirically, your statistics, that it's pretty even.
I think when we first started doing this work, we used to lean towards that stereotype of like the women want, the emotional connection, the men need the sex before, and over again we were proven wrong with who walked through the door. So yeah, it's pretty much 50-50, and we're also being very sensitive to transgender people who are gonna throw everything way off in terms of our stereotypes. So
right, demographically, but certainly not energetically, right? I mean, there are still sexual, there's a sexual and a desire and an energetic component, no matter what your gender identification.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what are some Tantra, tell us more about, just for all of our listeners here, what would be some Tantra? Could you give us a few examples of Tantra exercises that maybe people could just practice at home right now? Or is it just something they learn in your workshops? Give us some examples if you could.
Well, something in preparation for this interview, I thought about was that presence is so important in order to develop the intimacy in a relationship. And this is, I think, a real problem right now with the use of smartphones and the double income household. And if you've got kids or aging parents, there's a lot going on. And then I think there's kind of this glorification of busy in the Western culture, that even if you don't have a lot going on, that you better have a lot going on because all your friends have a lot going on. And if you don't have a lot going on, then you're not as good as they are or whatever. Right. I struggle with this myself because I'm really trying to not glorify busyness. And, if we can find ways to really be present with our partner so that when you're together and you're decided to have time together, like if you have this ritual of having dinner together, or if you have, date nights or date days, that you're really, you put the phones away, you pack up the computers, that you're not going to work during this time, and that you really, when your partner's talking, that you really look at them in their eyes. So eye contact is a really nice way to cultivate intimacy, and that you really listen to what your partner has to say. We can teach reflective listening. So reflective listening is, when your partner says something, that you actually repeat back some of what they say so that they know that you're really listening to them, and that, the conversation is really, fueled by what's being said and not some outside random thought.
Right. And they feel heard then. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you start to drift, to, bring yourself back, it's, presence or mindfulness. It's kind of like you're living this meditation of okay, who am I with right now? Who am I talking to? Mm-hmm. And, it ends up going back to, how I described intimacy, which is that your partner will feel safe to share their most personal thoughts and emotions with you if you're giving them your full attention, which I think is, it's, as I'm saying it, it sounds so simple, yet it's really not an easy thing to do nowadays with all the distractions.
Yeah, I think that our cell phone is a big, giant distraction. We need to keep them out of the bedroom if we're going to be intimate.
Oh, yeah.
I totally agree with that. I think that there is this other piece of it, though, and I've been thinking about it since you said it, that sort of 9 to 5 thing. I mean, that is being so gracious with our time. Our schedule is really about 5:45 in the morning to about 10:30 at night. 9 to 5 is a complete pipe dream for us, know? So it's just, insofar as the technology can be a distraction, so can just, oh my God, it's another swim meet day, and so that's what I keep sort of landing on. The distractions for me are my just knowing what it's opportunity cost stress. What should I be doing to put more food on the table, or to make sure people are getting where they need to be, or that, to be able to turn off enough. So yeah, it does sound really simple when you say it, but I also recognize how incredibly impossible it has to feel. And it makes me curious about your workshops and retreats. Like, how do you integrate couples who are dealing with this kind of stress to welcome them into this environment and help them shut off? And are there things that you do in your retreats that you might be able to share with our listeners to help them do the same thing, besides, take your phone off and don't wear your Fitbit?
Well, I think, the retreat in itself, just taking that step and getting away from all that is a good, first step. And of course, we invite people to unplug as much as possible, to get rid of the distractions while they're with us. And we offer two different kinds of retreats. We offer one that's much more isolated at some hot springs for people who really, feel like they need to do that. And then, we have another location in a small artsy city for people who want a little bit, more to do during their downtime. And, I think they fit different personality types, and yet we really do, after different things that we do with, we teach Tantra, so we give some home play assignments, we do some emotional healing, and we really do that. We do that with the individuals of the couple, and then when one person is receiving the other person, we encourage them to journal or just take some time, take a walk, take some time to yourself to really think about what you're needing yourself and what, you think the relationship is needing. But back to what you were saying, about the swim meets and everything, I think, what popped in my mind when you said that was that it's really important, I think, for us. Are you referring to like your children's swim meet when you say that?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
kids?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
Yeah. I think it's really important for us. I think we went through this parenting phase where the kids are everything. And, we went from like at least when I'm 52, and when I was a kid, we were just kind of sent out into the yard, or, there was very little parenting that went on. Mm-hmm. And now it's like ultra parenting. And I think that we have to remember that it's important for us to, as parents, to model a healthy, adult love relationship and how to maintain that. And so that it's okay. It really is okay to hire a babysitter and to go out for a date. And that it's okay for, your kids to maybe get themselves to wherever they need to go. Nowadays parents are always driving their kids everywhere. And I know there's like sometimes a safety issue around that. But if there's a way to carve out relationship time, I'd really encourage parents to do that, because it would be a lot nicer for everybody if parents were happy and healthy and it didn't lead to problems down the line with the relationship because the relationship wasn't given the attention that it needs.
Right.
So I just want to put that out there. But, it's important to, in order to have intimacy and to have a good sex life, that we should take the time, and this is something that we encourage our couples to do, to have a solo practice or exercise, to take a walk, to take a shower or meditate, to clear your thoughts about life and work, life distractions like bills and things like that, before coming together for your date or your time to have sex, to, just really see how much you can clear your plate to be together, both, physically and mentally. So like taking a walk or taking a shower or meditating really can help to clear the mind so that you can really be present for each other.
I'm thinking of some of my clients, and when I suggest to them, can you just meditate? How about we add a 10-minute meditation a day? And they go, I just don't have time. I'm thinking, and I think you're absolutely right. We have become a kid-focused society where our kids are number one. And, many parents are both working. And then, like you said, Pete, we had soccer. So I was gone. Like I was driving all over the place, home at 9:00. The last thing I feel like doing is having sex. I'm exhausted because now I got to help with homework, get everybody to bed, and then I'm done. Like I am tapped out. So I think you're right. And then I find with my own clients, they say to me, well, what's happening to my marriage, and my sex life's terrible. And I'm hearing what you're saying. We're not giving that relationship enough attention because we just feel like, well, then on Saturdays, here's Saturday sex. We're supposed to have Saturday or weekend sex or whatever it is. And I really don't want to because I don't even know who that is next to me in bed anymore. But I think you're right. And this is a lot that I talk about in my practice, though, is being more mindful, being more present, finding that time. Don't tell me you don't have 10 minutes a day. That's crazy. Take 5 to 10 minutes a day and just be present and start spending maybe 5 or 10 minutes a day with the person that you are living with, because maybe sex might be a little more fun or easier when you start connecting with that person throughout the week, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes a day. And I honestly hear this from clients a lot. I have a lot of women that get all of their needs met, they say, from their children. And they'll say, my intimacies, I get it from my kids. I really don't need it from my husband.
Oh my
So
God.
of course,
I
hear that.
I can't even imagine that.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen my kids eat?
Yeah. I mean, these women I find are so into their children and what's happening with their kids. And
this is the thing, though, because it's I don't know, and this may be way oversimplifying it, but in my again rigorous empirical research, the more sex you have, the more sex you want, right? For
yes,
both
that's
of
so
us,
true.
Right?
It's like very true.
When you get into
very
the routine, it's easier to feel like you're just kind of picking up a book and you're just kind of going to the next chapter, the next page, and it's not like, oh, God, I got to learn how to read again.
I don't want my husband to hear that, but you're right.
Yeah,
it's true because he has
email
said
this
that to me.
episode to your husband.
No, you're not, because he has said that to me. He's like, you understand, the more sex we have, the better, because it releases more hormones, and the body wants it. I mean, the body enjoys orgasm and sex, so the body then craves that because it does feel good, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally. So then the body and your being just wants more of that. So, but we're not going to let Graham know this.
Yeah,
we got to work up to it.
And I do want to just like speak from, because you're saying like Peter's saying this and Graham's saying this, and I just want to speak from like, as a woman who's been going through perimenopause for 10 years and has had low libido the whole time I've been teaching Tantra. I can totally vouch for what you're saying. Mm-hmm. And that I have really committed to this, like, once or twice a week, even if I'm not in the mood. And I don't have the same distractions you guys have now. I'm more of an empty nester. But, as you get older, it becomes more of a physical issue. And that it does, everything Graham says is true, that it does make me want to have sex and it feels good and I feel younger, and it's just by having sex, not by taking any hormone supplements or anything like that. So it's a good thing. And I also want to speak to the people who don't have time to meditate. I would say start with 5, try to get to 15 minutes a day, and it will change every aspect of your life for the better. You'll have better relationships. You'll be more productive, and it's just, and with the children, it'll be better. And, in a way, like less codependent, which is what you're describing with, the women get all their emotional needs from their kids. Well, at some point, those kids are going to leave.
Exactly. And then they crash. The women crash. I don't know who I am. I don't have, and I've said to them, well, you haven't really been connecting with your husband or your partner for many, many years. So we have to rebuild that now. But that does happen often. So.
Yeah, and kids show signs of that at different ages too. They show it I found my son showed it at age 3, and then at like a tween age, they start to pull away. And then now our kids are in their 20s, and I'll let you all know that the 20s is the decade that you get to have your own life. Because the kids they're building their own lives, So we really have to get, our own lives for a good 10 years. It's been good. the 20s.
That is fantastic. Gina, you just became like my superhero role model.
Aww.
This is just awesome stuff. This is fantastic stuff. I am so glad that you took the time and attention to share with us your insights on the show. This is wonderful. Now, I've got a bunch of links to all of your stuff at Tantra to Love that we're going to put in the show notes. So anybody listening, just swipe up there and in your podcast player, and you'll see all the links to get directly to all of Gina's great resources. Anything specific besides directly to Tantra to Love or Facebook or Instagram, Twitter, we've got all those in there. What else would you like to share with our listeners and invite them to review on your site? You have workshops coming up. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Well, I would say, there's a lot of great information on my website, especially on the Tantra instruction page. I've got a lot of articles that I wrote, especially around the time when my book was launched. And the book is, it's only 2 years old. It's called Lighter Living Tantra, and that's available on Amazon and Kindle. So that's a good place to start to, kind of dip your toes in Tantra, see if you want to take it further and do a retreat with us. We were based in Portland, Maine for 10 years, but we just recently moved to South Central Colorado. So we're offering retreats at the Salida Palace Hotel, which is that artsy small city, and then at Joyful Journey Hot Springs, which is just 30 minutes from Salida. So you can mostly, immerse yourselves in each other and nature, but, you can also go out, take yourselves out to dinner in Salida as well. So, yeah, there's a lot of information on our websites to get started. So thank you for inviting me to speak.
It is just wonderful stuff and great resources. And if my immediate sort of generational cohort is any indicator, you are undoubtedly quite busy.
Yeah.
We all need help.
Yeah. And it's nice that people can do it in private, because I think it's still, it can be a very private thing for people. So these retreats allow you to do it that way. So
such great stuff, and what a great way to wrap up the show and kick off love season. This is great.
Love it up.
Of the fantastic Gina Barrett and Michelle Chalfant. I'm Pete Wright. Thank you all for joining us. We'll catch you right here next week in the Adult Chair.